How's it going, folks? Jeremy Adrian here, welcoming you to another MMO news drop to welcome the weekend, the last one for January 2020. Let's get straight to business, beginning with Phantasy Star Online 2. Xbox One players in North America, Sega has given us more details about the upcoming closed beta test. As of right now, you can sign up for the CBT via the Xbox Insider Hub, and the test begins on Friday, February 7th at 5 p.m. PST. This closed beta test will introduce North American players to the Phantasy Star Online 2 game world with fully localized text and character voices in English. Players who participate will retain their progress from the closed beta test, and those who answer the call during urgent quests have a chance to obtain special in-game rewards that can be used when the game launches in spring 2020. During the test, you can check out the 4 races and 9 classes available, in addition to boss fights with up to 11 other players. Square Enix has confirmed that they and Final Fantasy XIV will be at PAX East this year, and a fan gathering has been announced. If you are in Boston and can attend, head to the Bremen on February 28th from 7 p.m. onward for drinks, giveaways, and more, but you will need to register for the event as places are limited. Additionally, Final Fantasy XIV has updated its special microsite for the upcoming patch 5.2, which arrives next month, and players are given snippets of what to expect story-wise, with some information about the content headed our way as well. The next letter from the producer live will no doubt add more reveals, so be sure to bookmark the microsite to keep updated, or you could just stay subscribed here. Next up, data miners have uncovered some interesting details regarding Guild Wars 2 and what's coming up next for the Icebrood saga. The MMORPG just launched its second episode this past week, and this post on Twitter by user that_shaman has hinted that we could be getting another 6 episodes in the Icebrood saga with 2-month intervals between releases, which means we're covered for the year ahead or more before we get something like an expansion again, if that's the plan, who knows. This is down to the data mining on the client side that shows there are 9 slots in the Guild Wars 2 Icebrood Saga Portal Tome. Of course, data mine stuff like this can be a hit or miss, so take it with a pinch of salt in the meantime. Additionally, for Guild Wars 2, the game has partnered with several institutions to promote mental health awareness and suicide prevention with the Seize the Awkward campaign, and all players can get a free campaign t-shirt in-game by heading to the Black Lion Gem store. Meanwhile, in the Black Desert franchise, nothing new announced for PC or console this week, but the mobile version does have a new class to play as, and it's the Sorceress. Armed with her amulet and talisman, the Sorceress utilizes a combination of ranged and melee attacks with decent mobility, and it's safe to say most of you that have played the other versions will be familiar with the class and what she's capable of. Additionally, Black Desert mobile players can now enchant weapons and armor using magical residue, which is produced when the Black Spirit absorbs certain grades of weapon and armor. Moving on, let's close the case on Torchlight Frontiers, or should I say Torchlight 3, as it's known now, since this week we got a huge info dump about how Perfect World and Extra Games have decided to massively shift the game away from what it was originally planned to be, which is a shared online Torchlight world that some were hoping would be an MMO or MMO Lite. Well, that seems to be over now, as Torchlight 3 moving forward will be more linear and will trade its living, breathing world for one that allows players to participate optionally in online and offline play, making it more of a multiplayer ARPG. Now, it's important to note here that these changes are largely influenced by the alpha testers, and many Torchlight players feel like this is the right way to go for the franchise. And for us MMO players, we can't really argue with that since the developers are giving the player base what they want. I'm just curious to know from alpha testers out there as to why the MMO style of gameplay and mechanics was not popular at all. So if there's any out there, share some insights with us down in the comments. Now onward to a proper isometric MMORPG, Corepunk has been busy over the last couple of weeks showing off some development insight about their world through some art and story sketches. The posts, which you can find on the official website, dives into information about the cultures in Corepunk, and through the art we can already see how certain weapon and clothing designs stand out and apart culturally, and we should expect to learn more in the lead up to the beta. I personally love the color schemes and the art style, as it reminds me of a certain MMORPG that we lost in 2018, and I'll explore that topic in the future. But for now, I will link these posts down below for those who want to check out more from Corepunk. Here's a brief update on Ashes of Creation, the upcoming MMORPG from Intrepid Studios, which will have its alpha later this year. The studio recently had a development update livestream in which the team talked about studio updates, new designs and progress, character art and environment art, on top of answering questions live on stream. I sat through most of it, but there's nothing really breaking to share except that things are going smoothly and as planned for the MMORPG, according to Intrepid. I'll post a link to the full stream down below for you to check out if you want to sit through that. Hardcore MMORPG Astaria, which was supposed to launch its early access on Steam this week, has been delayed once again for a later date. That's twice now that I've mentioned Astaria's launch dates moving in the past couple of months, and frankly speaking, I don't blame the developer. An army of one person. If it's not ready, but a heads up earlier than the date it was supposed to be launched would be nice. Official word comes from the game's Discord, and there is a public test available before a wipe that you can gain access to in order to see some of the very basic stuff. For those that don't know, Astaria is a hardcore player versus developer style MMORPG that will launch with a buy-to-play model sometime in 2021. One MMORPG that didn't miss its Steam launch date this week is Astalia, the Korean MMORPG from Baradhor and ENA, which has already been available to us in the West since September last year. While we knew this was coming, the studio has shared more information about new content that guilds can expect. There's going to be a new special guild arena where 64 players face off against one another in a battle for dominance, and that's all the information we have at this moment. Now this is interesting because last I checked, their RVR mode called Avalon was void of any active player numbers for large-scale PvP, so I'm curious to know if this takes off or if life will return to Avalon considering the Steam launch. More info about this new arena will be made available closer to its launch. If you play Project Gorgon on Steam, an indie classic style MMO, then there's some good news as a couple of official tweets are hinting that the game could be getting a new playable race and dungeon pretty soon. The tweets state that the game wants to add playable fairies as a race in the next update sometime next month, and they will be an advanced race that needs to be unlocked by completing a level 40-ish quest in the Winter Nexus, which, by the way, is a level 40 group dungeon. Fairies will apparently start at level 30 instead of 1, which may or may not be to your liking. AION North America has some brand new content that arrived this week, which for the record has already been out on the EU version of the game. The Return to KATALAM update features the new Crimson KATALAM battleground that can host up to 2,000 players at once for some chaotic PvP. There's also 3 new level 80 instances in the form of Beniric's Estate, Minium Vault, and the Quibinarch's Monster Cubic Lab to check out as well. For TERA players on the PC, NMS Entertainment has shared some teasers about the action MMO's first free content update of the year called Crescent C, which arrives sometime next month. This content drop features the arrival of the Alien Valkyrie class combination, and the character slot cap will be increased to 23. Besides that, the update will have a new 5-player dungeon for max level characters called the Sea of Honor, taking place in the open seas. You'll do battle aboard the Golden Scale treasure ship, and to gain access you need to acquire a Sea of Honor map held by both dungeon and field bosses. The type of map will determine the difficulty and rewards contained within. More information will be released about the Crescent C update next week from NMS Entertainment. And last but not least, Birds of Prey, DC's next superhero movie, is coming out soon, and DC Universe Online has announced that the next episode coming to the MMORPG will indeed be Birds of Prey. Arriving this April for PC, consoles, and the Nintendo Switch, this episode will be large-scale with level-agnostic event versions of content available to all players for a limited time. Expect solo and group content, featuring new and returning heroes and villains, plus new rewards from gear, styles, artifacts, to feats and housing-based items as well. And that's all I've got for now, folks. Stay tuned for the next news video, and I hope everyone's had a great January. If there's news for a game that you play which isn't covered here, as usual, share what's going on with the rest of us down in the comments. Hit the like button if these news drops are your jam, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon which notifies you whenever a new video is up. Once again, I'm Adrian, and I thank you for watching.